Hello everybody, Breaks here, back at the review. Everybody here with the sick wrestling related video one. We doing some wrestling related videos or what service or what. We doing some wrestling related videos or what before I go to Vegas everybody for WrestleMania. Also, the early celebration was this year marked my 20th anniversary as a professional wrestling fan. Everyone, I started out everyone by doing a tier list for people who have wanted to do championship. Everyone, let's see that everyone. I appreciate y'all checking it out. Turned out relatively well there. So today, everyone, we're gonna be focusing on another professional wrestling company. Everyone, that'd be All Elite Wrestling AEW. Now, for those who aren't aware of AEW, everyone, it was founded back in 2019 by members of the Elite, the Young Bucks, Matt Jackson, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, and Cody Rhodes, along with Tony Khan, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Khan family. And well, everybody, for the first good number of years, everybody, AEW was highly praised there. A lot of good fanfare to it. A lot of people were enjoying the project. And it felt like the first real competition for WWE since WCW days, the Monday Night Wars. However, everyone, in some recent years, everybody, while AEW still has its fan base, everyone, there has been a growing amount of people that have expressed their lack of enjoyment with AEW recently. And so I figured do a video myself, everyone. Remember doing a video last year, so everyone talked about it there, where I did tell Duber Tony Khan, where I expressed my issue to AEW time, and Tony Khan, how things were going for it there. Sorry for Birdwood. I won't be adding too much here. But anyways, everyone, I figured do a sort of follow video on it, but instead of doing a video there where bringing different problems AEW's had the past year or so, I decided to take a little different direction with everyone and think of ways of how to improve AEW. Like, what if scenario there if someone from AEW were to reach out to me there and I had a chance to give them advice to how to improve the things there. This is essentially what this video is going to be about, everyone. So everyone will be doing 4 ways to improve AEW. Now, the first one, everybody, may be a bit unlikely to happen, everyone, but I do feel like it would help AEW out in the long run. That being Tony Khan hands more creative control to other individuals, and he focuses more on the business side of the company. Everyone, on top being the current president of AEW and main guy in charge, Tony Khan is also the head of creative for just about everything related with AEW. While he does have some other people there, a creative team, to flesh out different things there, Tony Khan usually has a final say in how things go for Dynamite and for other AEW-related projects, or for Collision and pay-per-views as well. And well, everybody, a lot of people have soured on Tony Khan as a head booker for AEW, to the point where some people even call him Vince McMahon 2.0, which I'm not really going to go that far, say he's Vince McMahon 2.0, but I can kind of see some of the parallels there to a point. But as far as I know, there hasn't been any stories of Tony Khan tearing up scripts there for the show and causing a massive disarray and creative there like Vince McMahon did back when he was in charge of creative WWE. So, until Tony Khan gets that level of craziness there, I think calling Vince McMahon 2.0 is going to be a bit of a stretch. Now, that being said, sorry what happened there, sick. Is everyone outside of some people I've seen on Facebook defend Tony Khan as creative direction AEW? Seems like the general consensus is that a lot of people have gone sour with Tony Khan and how he's been booking with different programming of AEW recently. Now, I feel the best way to fix that there is that Tony Khan has more creative control of their people there. You may not have to, do it right away there, but maybe over time, let people get more creative control there, let them run things for Dynamite, Collision, other stuff there too, and maybe slowly transition to just only having partial creative control there, and primarily focusing more on the business aspect of AEW. Let Tony Khan give more people a chance to flesh out their things there, give the chance to run the shows there, would fresh things up for the product there, and would give the opportunity to give fan intrigue, to go all the uptick there, so yeah. And give the opportunity to go for storylines there and stuff like that, so yeah. Speaking of storylines, everybody, on to number 2 one. That being put into the Elite/Death Riders Takeover storyline. Now, everyone for past years, everyone at AEW's been trying to do different takeover storylines there. All started back around this time last year with the Elite, which consisted of Matt Jackson, Young Bucks, Jack Perry, and Kazuchika Okada, where they pretty much tried to do a takeover of AEW. And it was off to an interesting start there, and they even had Tony Khan laid down with the Tony Khan driver there, so... But as the weeks progressed by, people lost interest there. The storyline ended up becoming a less interesting version of the NWO takeover or WCW. And the Young Bucks supposed to have authoritarian power there with their EVP positions there, but every time they try to do something, Tony Khan or someone representing Tony Khan's behalf there, like Christopher Daniels, would just counter the Young Bucks' decision, pretty much making their authoritarian power useless. And as some progressed, everybody sort of like lost momentum there, advan tree, and that's where the leader body they ended up losing at Blood Guts last year, and over time they would be phased out for a period there, as the Young Bucks would drop the tag championships to Private Party, and Jack Perry dropping the TNT championship to Dale Garcia in full gear last year, where the only member keeping their title was Kazuchika Okada. And throughout that, everyone, they ended up going from one takeover storyline to another one with the Death Warriors. Before there was a Blackpool Combat Club. It began whenever Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, and Antonio Castagnoli betrayed Bryan Danielson, and had Pac and Maria Shafir in the ranks. And it was off to a strong start by not only in Bryan Danielson's world title reign, but also his full-time career as a professional wrestler. And plus, there were talks of Shane McMahon potentially joining... Sorry, I called for a sec there. There were reports thereby of Shane McMahon potentially joining up there, as there were meetings with him and Tony Khan about doing business together. So there were people intrigued to see where things were going to be going. But in the aftermath thereby, the first person to step up to Jon Moxley after Bryan Danielson's time as world champion was Orange Cassidy. And while I like Orange Cassidy, I like his character work, he's a good in-ring worker there. And what I do sort of understand why he did move in this direction, as Cassidy and Moxley did have history for their battles with the International Championship in 2023. But out of all the different talents that were able to challenge Moxley there, Orange Cassidy would not be my first option there. Plus, despite Orange Cassidy's accomplishments in AEW there, AEW hasn't really put him as a main event level talent there. But they went the direction of Orange Cassidy challenging Moxley first. They still could have worked it out there because Cassidy was part of the conglomeration, which had him, Bill Nightingale, Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and others there as well. So maybe because the conglomeration make it even playing field. Well, then one episode Dynamite, Cassidy goes, guys, I need you to stay on my match no matter what. Pretty much made Cassidy look like going into the world title match up there. Knowing that there would be a chance to have the Death Riders would interfere, which they ended up doing, and cost them the world title. And that's been a pretty process since would Moxley have a fight with whoever shot the world title there. Death Riders interfere, and he would have rotated. It was beat there, the other guys. He's fighting against Cassidy again, along with Hangman Page and Jay Whitefield for a match up there. World Dead, and so Adam Copeland, episode Dynamite, and on Lucia Wood, and defended against prior to that, they're defending against Will Hobbs, which was probably the only match up there where Moxley won without any interference there. And recently was Swerve Strickland there, along with some other stuff which we'll get to here in a minute. And it felt very repetitive by fans, lost interest there, and how the match were playing everyone, and it felt like Roman Reigns' last couple of matches during his time as WWE/Universal Champion. Very repetitive there, fans were not into it, and a lot of stuff there, so... At least with Roman Reigns, everybody, there was stuff with the bloodline going on, and the strong storyline going on, stuff like that there, kept the intrigue going, even if the matches were too exciting. But, Moxley, the Death Rider stuff, everybody, didn't really have that, so... And as for Shane McMahon, he never ends up joining up with the Death Riders or apparently talks with him until he fell through. Apparently Shane McMahon was asking for not only creative control, but also a minor stake within AEW. Which on one hand, I understand why Tony Khan and decided not to go forward there because, it would be much if someone that had worked with before was asking for minor stake in my company there, when they haven't really done much to prove themselves to me. So, on one hand, I can understand where Tony Khan's come from. But on the other hand, if I was in Tony Khan's position there, I probably would have gone, Shane, I'm not going to give you my ownership stake within my company, but I do want to see what me and you could do as a creative duo could work out. So how about I give you a trial period there. Let's say we work for about 3 months on Dynamite Collision and on pay-per-views, and so we go from there. But Tony Khan didn't do that, and so with Plan B there, Jermaine Joy decided to bring back the Young Bucks everybody as Dynasty would. Young Bucks have cost Swerve Strickland the annual World Championship, and this past episode of Dynamite made a proposition to form a super faction with the Death Riders. So everyone, while part of me felt like this was an outcome that could happen there, I don't think this is what fans were wanting to see there to keep the intrigue going. Now, it did get uptick in ratings this past episode of Dynamite. But whether if they'll keep the intrigue going, we'll have to remain and see how far this goes there, whatnot, to see the storyline actually. And I'll tell you things over the next weeks or whatnot or what. But they always tried two different tips, takeover angle there. And now they can just combine both of them into one there. And I really don't know if this is going to be the fix people are going to be looking for, want to see there for the storyline. And for looks of everyone, it probably won't be in there until sometime in July for AEW All in Texas. And I'm not too sure if people are going to be having the patience in order to see things wrap up then. So I guess I'll wait to see as we get closer and closer to All in Texas or see it. For there, everyone, on to number 3 everybody. And I'm not going to comment on this too much, everyone, as we'll give AEW credits there for the most part. They seem to have quieted down this. This is my last favorite one. But number 3 everybody would be, if wrestlers have beef, make sure it's not in front of, not going to show that for live crowds. Everyone, this is primarily, last year, everyone, I commented, everyone, about how AEW had a bad habit to making pot shots randomly at WWE. The wrestlers doing it there, until he called himself doing it. Whereas it felt rather immature and pointless to do so there, since WWE was on the uptrend, especially after Vince McMahon was gone. This kind of made AEW look immature in comparison. Now, for the most part, everyone, it seems like AEW has calmed that down there, And if people got issues with other people from companies there, they were save it for interviews. Example, Will Ospreay, remember him last year expressing annoyance there, or comments Triple H made about people who don't sign with WWE, are afraid of the grind. And Ospreay expressed he still have provided by those comments Triple H there. It's hard to talk for everyone. I deal with some minor sizes there, but anyways, everyone. Ospreay still expressed he's very annoyed about those comments Triple H there. Or if you agree with Ospreay or not, that statement, it's up to you there, so. But, like I said, for the most part, things been died down there, but unfortunately, there was a recent thing that happened there, where it is worth talking about a little bit. And we're not going to go too much into detail on different things, everyone. If you want a more specific breakdown situation, I would recommend checking out either Pro Wrestling Bits' video on it there, or just Alex's video. They both did a pretty good job breaking down the situation one. But in short, by summarize everyone, it's all began everyone back when Swerve Strickland appeared on Vlad TV and made some comments there about the representation there, and during one part brought Booker T there, and brought some issue with Booker T there, stuff like that. During the interview with Vlad TV, Booker T made a response on his podcast to what Swerve made there. And well, everybody, on Dice, everybody, this past weekend, everyone, Swerve closed out the show, but I'll close out, I'll try to send the fans home happy there, and saying fuck Booker T during the end of it there, so, Booker T did make a response back there, it was a mature response there, and gave some advice to Swerve, not to do that stuff during live shows there, because that takes away from, the pay-per-view there and whatnot, and last day people were at the live show there. I want to clarify, everyone, this was after the pay-per-view ended there. Swerve was speaking for the live crowd, but people did record what Swerve said on their phones and posted to Twitter there, so I want to make sure to clarify that, everyone. I tried to clarify that a little bit earlier, sorry about that, everyone. But anyways, everyone, Booker T made comments there about Swerve shouldn't be doing that there, and it said it takes away from the show, and the last thing people are going to be remember about, or live in Dynasty, are probably going to be remembered, Swerve bringing Booker T there, it takes away from the world show. And Dave's advice to wrestlers there, that make sure to go out there and show your talents there and show why you should be in the big picture there and whatnot, all that stuff. So, and everybody on the Friday NXT beard, sorry what it was, there were crowds, the crowd changed, all hell keep Booker and fuck you Swerve. So, and different people online have expressed annoyance about Swerve doing that there. And why I like Swerve, everybody, he's been doing really good work in AEW. I do wish him the best. And he said, though, it was very mature for him to say this stuff. Right up his beef with Booker T for the live crowd there, I mean, if you got people stuff by, keep it private there, or express it in an interview saying there, don't bring it up in front of a live crowd, That's just you're just kind of asking your dirty laundry to be aired out by doing that stuff, so. And some people are probably going to say about Hunter, Swerve was on Vlad TV. Vlad TV is infamous there for starting up beef with other people there. And look, I'm not too familiar with Vlad TV, everyone, so I'm just going by people's words there on Vlad TV. But even still after everyone Swerve, he's been around business for a while, or he should know better than doing that stuff, I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with him being critical of WWE there. I mean, WWE dropped the ball with him there, and AEW been picking up where WWE dropped the ball with him at. And I'm happy for Swerve Strickland, what he's been doing, AEW. But that being said, though, there are some things you should do there. It makes you look immature, and Swerve pulled out. Swerve did that on Dynasty and stuff like that there, kind of taking away the fan experience for the show and decided to bring up his beef with Booker T in front of the crowd. So, sorry, what? So I was all going to say, everyone, hopefully Swerve learns from this there. If he's any more beef with Booker T, he can say it to Booker T privately, or say for interview sayings or whatnot, And whether if you'll agree with Swerve or agree with Booker T on different statements there, it's up to y'all there. So, but it seems that while AEW has got better at stuff, everyone, it seems that there's still some work to be done when it comes to making sure that different wrestlers aren't causing trouble there, whatnot. So yeah. Last everybody, probably there would. Now, while Tony Khan has got a bit of a start early this year, I still feel like there's going to be people everyone that they held back AEW. So my last one everybody is thinning out the roster. Now, before I get through, I'm not saying Tony Khan should release everybody for AEW. Always has ridiculous everyone. There's going to be people that have been thriving in AEW, have helped become big days because of AEW there. So I'm not saying that whatsoever, okay? But there are still a lot of good decent people that haven't been fully utilized on AEW. I feel like would be best if Tony Khan to go for contracts. And he got a bit of a start early this year with the release of Malachi Black, Ricky Starks, by Ricky Saints, Penta, Ray Phoenix, and with Murrow there. People that were being utilized in AEW and were given strong runs. Yeah. But there's still a good number of people that it's like AEW, and one best if Tony Khan just let him go there. Two double names are by being Wardlow and Britt Baker. Wardlow hasn't been seen in quite a while at AEW. He's one of those guys been having on and off pushes for AEW. They really done a whole lot with them. And I feel like Wardlow would be best if they just let him go for his contract. And Britt Baker's case is a little more complicated one, as there have been reports of backstage heat on Britt Baker and some other people there and whatnot. So, and Britt Baker, she's had a successful career at AEW. She's had the reign as Women's Champion. She's been part of her big matches or what, but and like I said, in case of Britt Baker I have heard reports of her causing backstage heat there and whatnot. So maybe it's just been the case the best where Tony Khan just releases her there, and that way there won't be more beef there going on. So, but then there's some other women's talents by that they kind of stuck in limbo there in AEW, haven't really been user full capabilities there. I mean, most of example recently, Camille, she's the longest reign. AEW was world champion. She was under the tutelage of Nick Aldis when he was the world champion. I mean, and she was someone that a lot of people were curious to see where she was going to go after her time in WWE, and she ended up going with AEW. And at first, they were doing stuff with her there. She was the muscle for Mercedes Moné, but then they just kind of quickly the booking of her character hasn't really been treated that well, and then about a couple months later, she ends up losing Chris Statlander, takes up for Chris Statlander and Mercedes Moné for the TBS Championship. And Camille, she ends up not appearing since then. And, for someone who had a lot of fanfare, and who was a big player for the NWA as their women's world champion, Camille, it's disappointing that she hasn't really done a whole lot in AEW. AEW hasn't really given her much chance to do much since the whole stuff with her and Mercedes, they just kind of ended there. They have women that signed up sometime last year were doing stuff with them again, but now just kind of stuck a limbo there. Most of them would be the Peraza one. The Peraza was off to a hot start there. She was involved in the Women's World Title feud with Toni Storm. They were kind of playing up their history together. But then she lost Toni Storm, and AEW hasn't really done a whole lot with her there. Have her stuck at a tag team with Taya Valkyrie. And the Peraza, another woman that should be in the main world title picture there, the Women's Division. I mean, she was a big player for TNA. Their Knockouts division there, so that, but they haven't really done a whole lot with her recently. Just for you to see there. They have women that's been around for a while there that were doing good stuff there, but haven't really done anything. They haven't really done a whole lot with them recently either there. But those notable one. Two notable solo names are by being Thunder Rosa and Hikaru Shida. And when Thunder Rosa by, she was a Women's World Champion one. She had to afford the title due to injury. I guess everyone. Yeah, sorry, we had to answer a quick phone call there. It was about to say everyone. You have women like Thunder Rosa, Hikaru Shida, who've been around for a long time, and they haven't really done a whole lot with them there. In Thunder Rosa's case, she was a Women's World Champion, and she had to forfeit due to injury, and she was out for a very long time. She came back, but since then, she always had about one match up her bite, but the other one, they just kind of have her go back and forth with the TBS and Women's World Title contention there, but after the most recent episode of Dynamite, where she took part in match up there in the Women's Owen Hart Cup tournament, she had a match with Chris Statlander, and Anyway, it seems that AEW, at least for now, aren't gonna have any plans for Thunder Rosa winning back the Women's World Championship there, which, at this point, Sarah she had some of the best women's matches, and some of the best matches in general in AEW's history. She had a great feud with Britt Baker for the title, and you don't really do stuff there with her, build a storyline where she wins back the championship. I mean, at this point, Sarah and Karashida's case, everybody, everybody, she's been one of the top women's wrestlers for AEW Wood. She's been a 3-time Women's World Champion. I believe she still has the current longest reign with the Women's World Championship there, over a year. She had 2 other reigns, but recently they haven't done a whole lot with her either. The last I recall, she was having some matches with Mercedes Moné for the TBS Championship, but that's been really about it. And Karashida hasn't really been doing a whole lot of work with AEW Wood. I just was disappointed because Karashida, I'm a really big fan of her. She's one of my favorite women's wrestlers there. And she was one of the women that, helped put AEW's women's division on the map there. She was a champion during the pandemic era. And, she's always been a strong talent there and stuff like that, And at this point, AEW hasn't really done a whole lot with her recently there, so. And let's go on another one, but I think I pretty much named enough people there to kind of point across everyone, And while Tony Khan has had lots of people go there, let them go on to other ventures there, there are still some names there that haven't really been utilized for a very long time there. If you really got to have a interesting direction with them creative-wise there, then probably best if you just let them go and find other ventures there, whether it be WWE or TNA or other companies there too, so yeah. That's pretty much all I got to say, everyone. And right up the video here, everyone, for different ways I would improve AEW. I wonder if some of this stuff ends up coming to fruition or not. Other way to see. Pretty much wrap things up here, everyone. Hopefully AEW will be improving here, but we'll just wait and see, everyone. Depends on what Tony Khan and the others, people in charge of AEW are going to be doing here, rest of 2025 and onwards. Let's see, yeah. But anyways, enough here for that, everyone. As for the next video, everyone, I will be doing another review, everyone. I'll be doing a review for the movie Looney Tunes The Earth Blew Up. And I might be dropping one more wrestling video before I go to Las Vegas, everyone. So expect at least 2 more videos before everyone. Till everyone gets something for everyone. Like, sorry, make sure to like button, do share, subscribe, and notification icon so you see uploads. I'll see you next time with her. Peace.